Well, hello everybody. It's your favorite day of the week. It is another episode of Soap Opera Love in the Afternoon, where we talk about your favorite soaps, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I am Les Kurkendaal-Barrett. Hello, Jordan Hudson.
Hello, Les. How are you?
I'm good. Well, we're still in this pandemic, but the good thing is soaps have started coming back. They have started coming. The Bold and the Beautiful. The Bold and the Beautiful came back this week, and I have thoughts. You know, I definitely have thoughts. Now, of course, I'm cutting them slack because you got to do what you got to do, you know, and they're making lemons out of lemonade, and so I can't fault them. But at this, because they're doing the best that they can with what they've got. But at the same time, there were a couple of things that, let's just say, were kind of dumb.
I wasn't as hard on them as you were, because I actually thought that, considering I was prepared for the worst, and I think because I was expecting the worst, I was actually pleasantly pleased, except for one huge issue that I had. You know, because again, we talked about how the British soap operas are handling it perfectly, and they're not missing a beat. You know,
no, not at all.
So Bold and the Beautiful is the first one to come back. For those of you who don't know, General Hospital will come back next Monday. I could care less.
Right.
I've been enjoying just fast forwarding. Like, I don't even know why I have it still on the DVR, because for those of you who don't know, General Hospital decided to not show classic episodes. They decided to just show the last few weeks of those flashback episodes that they were showing. Those episodes that were like flashbacks, because there were so many flashbacks in them. But, you know, Bold and the Beautiful,
Truth be told, the General Hospital, I didn't watch it this week.
Well, there was no reason to watch it. I mean, we're not gonna talk about episodes that I think we started our podcast when some of these episodes were already up. So there's no reason for us to rewatch them and re-talk about them. We all know the show's horrible. What's going to be interesting is to see when they come back. How, like, because I, as much as I agree with Jillian, and I have been saying that too, that I was hoping that General Hospital would take this time off to reevaluate everything. I don't think they've done that at all. I think they're just picking up right where they left off, and that's a sad state of affairs. But let's talk about Bold and the Beautiful. I mean, I will give them props with their Monday episode, which was like a recap episode.
Right.
I thought it was really well done. When Jillian said that at our, I was like, oh, but I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cute the way they went about it and did it. I actually was like okay with it, except for that mini promo at the end where cast members were like, the boat is back, and they were like all like hideously like giving that. I could have done without that trailer. That trailer was god awful. They all sounded like idiots going, the boat is back. I just was like, I can't. They're ridiculous. They're so stupid. And then some of those clips look ridiculous. But the actual episode itself, the way they recapped it, I thought was kind of clever for an American soap opera. I was actually like, oh, okay, this is kind of cute. I
agree, because
props to you.
They just, you know, instead of like doing clips, it like they just basically was like it was almost like gossiping, but not bad gossip, but us seeing the gossip happen, if that makes any sense.
No, it did. It was, like I said, it was very, it flowed. It seemed natural. It didn't seem forced. It seemed like, again, we started watching Bold and the Beautiful for this podcast shortly before they stopped airing episodes. So I don't know where the hell Carter has been, but that was the whole premise. For those of you who don't know, Carter, I guess, has been away. So he was getting caught up from Katie and what's her name? Chicky. I can't remember her name.
Zoe.
The one,
right?
Zoe. That's right, Zoe. And, and I know they're pushing. It seems like they're pushing Zoe and Carter, but I actually would like to see Carter and Katie. I was feeling them together. I was like, why not get the swirl going on with the two of them?
Right.
I was like, Heather Tom, you know, she was playing Victoria when what's his name was on Young and the Restless, Keith Hamilton Cobb, and her character was into the swirl there on that soap. And I was kind of wondering, like, yeah, I could see Carter and Katie going at it. I was like, move on from Bill, please. And yeah, I was feeling the two of them and talking in their scenes together, and I'm like, yeah, barking up the wrong tree, because Zoe. First of all, Zoe's young enough to be his daughter. I mean, that guy's been around for a while. He was on Guiding Light, like, in the early 2000s. Like, come on now. That child is, like, what, 12? No.
And say what you will about Bold and the Beautiful, but the one thing that I do give them props for is they will not shy away from an interracial relationship. They will give you that. You know,
I like I said, I was impressed with the you know, the whole, the way that was a really great opening episode. Now they were flashbacking to like what went down in the previous episodes, and Lord have mercy, when they were showing those scenes with Denise Richards and Thorsten Kaye in Las Vegas, and it was all like green screen. I was on the floor. I was like, yeah, those days of the budget of Bold and the Beautiful going on location are over. Right. It's all green screen now. Because we've been seeing all these flashbacks episodes of Bold and the Beautiful, and they're like in Australia and Italy, and they're doing all these location shots. Now it's like, we're in Las Vegas, green screen.
Because before it would have been like Shauna and Ridge go to Monte Carlo and go gambling in Monte Carlo. He flies around the jet, and nope, that does not happen anymore.
Now it's gonna be Shauna and Ridge go to Burbank, California.
Right.
Well, I gotta tell you, it's definitely Bold in the Botox, though. I can't. What did Denise Richards do to herself? I was just like, oh, child, these women just don't learn. Look, I respect it. That's your body, your face. If you want to do that, you know what? That's your choice. But I just don't understand why they don't stop. When it starts getting eerie looking, stop. Just stop. It's too much. When you start looking like your face is gonna melt, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's just so unnatural. It really, really, I don't know. You know, because I was thinking of our favorite girl from Emmerdale, Big Kim.
Yeah.
Because I don't know her, so I don't know if she's had any work done or anything. But you know, one of the pleasures of watching Emmerdale from the 90s is she's on there. I'm actually watching. I finally got an episode with her and Frank. Frank is the father of her son Jamie, allegedly. Right. So supposedly something's going to come up with that. But anyway, and I was like, look at Miss Thing back in the day, and look at her now. And I'm like, and you know what? I don't know whether she had any work done or not, but she is still a beautiful woman of a certain age, and she does not look weird or deformed or anything like that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I wish more women would just age gracefully, or at least get in contact with Susan Lucci's man.
Right? Or
not saying that Susan Lucci's had yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. Deirdre Hall looked like she made a deal with the devil. Because I look at her face, and I don't know whether they do something like digitally or what, but there really isn't anything there. You know what I mean?
Deirdre
like
Hall is pushing 70.
I know, but she doesn't seem to have any, like, her face is really good. Like, I look at her when they do those close-ups, and it's like, there's very, like, you know, it's, you know, again, if you're going to do it, just do it right. But I don't know what, it's to me, it's scary to watch Bold and the Beautiful. Whenever Denise Richards is on, or Brooke, or God forbid, Taylor, I can't, even
Taylor's
what's her name?
The worst. Taylor's
Taylor,
and I'm not disparaging her looks or anything like that. And I like her as an actress, but she's done a job on herself.
who?
Hunter Tyler.
Yeah, it breaks my heart. You know why? Because she is such a beautiful woman. She didn't need all that. You know,
Yeah.
all right, if you're getting a couple of lines and stuff, but you were a natural beauty. Don't mess with that. Just age gracefully, please. Like,
Right.
but you know what? Brooke is getting there. Brooke is getting into Hunter Tyler territory. She's putting so much in, like, her face just looks very, I don't know, it looks weird to me at times. It almost looks like a lion. You know what I mean?
And here's the thing with Botox. You can get it subtly done. Like, you can get it done in a subtle way. You totally.
That's what I'm saying. Just take, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror and realize, all right, this is a little too much. You know what I mean? When the cheeks start because and it's not just the women. I don't know about you, but Don
here's the problem.
Those cheeks on Don Diamond look a little, I don't know.
Well, here's why. I love how living in LA. I pretty much know, like, I could be like a scientist when it comes to facial stuff and lunchtime procedures. The problem is, the reason why a lot of times their faces look weird is it's not just Botox. Where they go wrong is Botox and then mixing it with the filler. And sometimes with the filler, you either get too much filler or you get it and it needs to settle in for a minute. You know what I mean? And so that's where they go wrong is, with the filler. And that's, the filler is what makes your face change shape and look misshapen and stuff.
Yeah, see, here, especially now that we're seeing all these flashback episodes of him and Young and the Restless, it's like you really see that he's has to have something done. I don't know what it is, but he seems very bloated in the face. And it's just very not, I don't know. I will say this. There was a New York, I won't mention the name, I will not mention the name, but a New York actor of a certain age on a soap opera here in New York did take some time off to do some work. And it was quite noticeable, not in a bad way, but it was quite noticeable that, yeah, he had to have some work done because he looks a little bit younger. And I was always told that he regretted it. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again.
Well, here's the
thing. And it's funny because,
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and it's funny because I thought like it wasn't that bad. I mean, yeah, the initial, I think the first day or two that he was on, it was kind of jarring, but then after a couple of days, it evened out and it was fine. But I was always told, yeah, he will never do that again. He was like, yeah, he just felt ridiculous about it.
The thing is, men have to be very careful about doing the plastic surgery and the Botox and the fillers. Men have to be very careful because it just, for whatever reason, it looks different on a man than a woman. And when a man starts messing with his face, it just makes them, you just look different. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I have dabbled with the Botox. I live in LA, I have dabbled, but I've had it done several times and people have no idea. You know why? Because when I go in, I tell the person, okay, here's the deal. I'm a performer. I don't want to be too frozen. I need to move my face. I need to be able to show expression. And the doctor always says, okay, well, it's so funny. She's watching. She's like, okay, we'll do it on the lighter side. And then she always jokes and says, because like Botox is botulism, right? So then she always jokes, and then after I say that, she's like, let me poison you. But, so but I do know what I'm talking about when sometimes you can ask for less, and it still looks good, and you still look good, but you don't like people. It should be so subtle that people should not be able to tell that you've had it done, and it should be subtle enough that you can show facial expression and it doesn't take over your face. That's how I
Yeah.
that's how I think.
Look, like I said, it's your choice, it's your money, it's your body. If you want to do it, that's your prerogative. All I'm saying is just be careful.
Right.
Don't take it to that, because you don't want to look like, what's her name? Remember that lion woman in New York City that
Oh, Jocelyn
socialite? What was her
Wildenstein.
name? Jocelyn. Yeah, like that. That when you start looking like a cat, you got to
Mhm.
stop, child. You really got to stop. I'm like, so we will continue with Bold and the Beautiful. Tuesday is when the actual episode started, and I was impressed with Tuesday because, again, they were picking up. I don't know whether they've rewritten scripts and stuff, because Coronation Street, I did read that Coronation Street did have to rewrite certain things. Certain scenes had to be rewritten because they were going to be shot, like there was one scene that was going to be shot on location, like in the woods or something. And because they're now have to shoot in their parameters where they normally shoot, they had to rewrite that. So I don't know if any rewrites had to happen for Bold and the Beautiful, but I felt like the first episode back, I thought was really like well done. I enjoyed, even though I can't stand Steffi, I liked her and Liam talking, about everything that was going on. Like I got invested in the scene because it wasn't campy, it wasn't like craziness. It was old school soap opera. He was, checking in on her, spending time with his daughter, making sure she was okay with the new thing. And she seemed to actually be growing up. She was like, oh yeah. She goes, you don't have to worry about me. You're with Hope now. I get it. I'm moving on. I'm about work now and my child. He's like, yeah, but it don't have to be like that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm watching a really well-written, intelligent scene, So I like that. And then we went to the craziness, which is, of course, Sally and Dr. Penny kidnapping Flo, and Wyatt walking into the door, and so go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is the scene that I had the problem with, and I did not have a problem with her being kidnapped. I love the fact that she was smart enough to write on the underwear. Like that, I love that part where like the message was written on the underwear, and that's how she ended up getting free. But the part that drove me crazy because it was so dumb was when Wyatt ran into the door to save her, and they showed his eyes, and they showed her eyes, and then they showed another close-up. And like the way that they did it, it was just corny to me.
Well, you're jumping way ahead. That was like Fridays. I was like, you're jumping way ahead. So basically, what happened was exactly what Les was telling you. In the course of the 4 days, we had to endure. I'm sorry, and I hate knocking her because she's Latina, obviously. But my God, this is what pisses me off when soap operas bring on a character of color, whether it's Black, Latin, or Asian, and you're going to tell me that this is the best Latin actress that auditioned for this role? Really?
Right?
Seriously? And I feel like they do it on purpose just to say, well, see, we try to cast a Latin person of color, but see how bad they are? And like, I feel bad knocking Homegirl because she's Latina, but girl, she and in her defense though, the dialogue was so awful. Like I don't know how any actor could pull that shit off. It was so bad. Like her character is beyond dumb. I mean, the fact that she's a doctor who's putting her career on the line so she can be a fashion designer, and then she chose to knock this person out. And what kills me is that she's the one who did it, not Sally. Right. I'm like, you're the idiot who knocked her out, not Sally. So like, as much as I want to enjoy this storyline, there's so many things about it that are like, all right, this is so dumb. But the one thing that I am grateful for is that and this is where I wonder if if this was supposed to be like a long range storyline and they rechanged everything, because I'm kind of glad that this did not go on. I'm kind of glad that it kind of came to an end, because honestly, this is, you know, I enjoyed the confrontation scenes before the pandemic, before they stopped showing new episodes, but you're writing the character of Sally into a corner. Well, I don't know, on daytime TV, where a serial killer is now part of a super couple and getting married on Days of Our Lives, anything's possible. But in the old days, this is what we would call writing the character into a corner, where you have them doing things that are no longer, you know, you can't redeem them after a certain point. And I was really fearful, because Sally, for those of you who don't know, she's been telling everybody and their mother that she's dying. And she's been playing everybody. And it's like, how do you forgive a cat? Like, that's kind of, I'm sorry.
Well,
that's
Nikki
low.
did it. Nikki did it back in the day, though.
Yeah, but it's the way they go about doing it.
Remember,
it's the way. I know, but it's the way they go about doing it. Sally's kind of, the way she's going about it is not like manipulating. She's kind of like, it seems like she's kind of cray-cray, honestly. And that's what I was fearful watching the scenes. Like, Flo was making sense. It's like, you don't see how crazy you sounding. Like the fact that, like, she's like, oh, like, she's not thinking logically. Like, how are you going to, like, Flo was going to blow it up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way out of this. It's like, eventually everybody, even if, you know, it's just, and it's that kind of crazy writing that just kind of drives me insane. Like, when they did that with Ava in General Hospital, you know what I mean? The fact that she killed Connie and Cole Bud, the fact that she manipulated Sonny to kill AJ, and yet she's still roaming around town. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, at some point you can't, like, you know, I miss the good old days of Agnes Nixon. And, you know, and it's one of the reasons that I appreciate the British soap operas, because so far with the British soap operas, the one thing that seems to be always on point with them is the whole morality thing. When characters do something, they pay for it eventually. It may take a year or two.
Even Erica got punished for stuff.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, it's funny you were mentioning that, because I wanted to mention that whole thing, because I always heard, I again, this is allegedly, but I always heard that Miss Lucci was not happy with that storyline. She was not thrilled when they made Erica. For those of you who don't know, at one point, Erica was like, she was on the drugs, and her and Maria were fighting and stuff. Long story short, she kidnapped Maria's baby and like brought her as some kid she adopted, and kept Maddie away from Maria. And she did get punished for it. She did go to jail for it. But I always heard that she was not happy. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that was a Megan McTavish thing. And she was not happy with that storyline, because she just felt like it wasn't something that Erica would have done. And I agree with her. If she really felt that way, I totally agree with her. I don't know The Bold and the Beautiful well enough to know, but it just seems that what Sally is doing was very extreme. So I was kind of grateful that it all blew up very quickly, because I'm like, I don't see how you can stretch this. This is like Megan McTavish storytelling. Like, remember when Natalie was in the well for like 6 months on All My Children?
Yes.
I was like, is that what we're going to have to endure? Flo being tied to the...
Basically,
Flo being tied to the radiator with Flo being tied to the radiator with a sock. What is that she was tied with? It looked like a sock.
And that's the thing. First of all, why didn't she just untie herself? Why didn't she just untie herself like it was a sock or stocking or something? Because at first, I thought maybe she was chained to it or something, and then I was like, wait, is that like a stocking or a sock or something? She could untie herself, and she could beat the doctor up. It's not like the doctor was like some tough person. She could beat the crap out of the doctor. You know,
but that's what was so annoying about the whole week, watching her talking to the doctor, talking to Sally, through the whole thing. I'm like, girl, just untie the fucking sock. Like, honestly, what is wrong with you? Are you that dumb? Like, are you just trying to say they're all blondes or that dumb? You don't understand? Because the thing is, like, I remember those flashbacks, those classic episodes of Sally and Thomas, the weird-looking Thomas with the serial killer eyes, and how hot their scenes were. I could totally buy that Sally would have a pair of handcuffs in her apartment for sex. I was surprised that she didn't break out with the handcuffs and use that to put flow to the radiator. But the fact that it looked like a sock, and I could not understand. And then when she finally got rescued, he took a pair of scissors and cut them. So I mean, it was like, it's not like it was freaking chains of metal or something. Like, what is wrong with this girl that she could not untie that sock? I was like, so there was a lot of things about this story.
Now, here's another part. Here's another part that I got mad at. The part that made me mad as well, I'm now remembering. So when she's talking to the doctor, she's trying to get the doctor to let her go. And then the doctor sent the text, like, from her phone. And the part that drove me crazy is when she's telling the doctor, that's not what I would say. And then the doctor's like, well, what would you say? And she starts telling the doctor what she'd say. And I'm like, you idiot. This is supposed to be when you start speaking in code, you idiot.
Look, I'm just grateful that it all blew up and it ended, because I was like, this is getting to the point that it's just ludicrous. I mean, yes, I mean, it was just over-the-top campiness that she wrote on her panties, and he saw that, and I was like, oh, this is horrible. But I was glad with his reaction. I was glad that he was, because, on soap operas, characters, especially American soap operas, characters are usually stupid. So I wouldn't have put it past him to be like, for her to say something like, oh, I don't know where that came from. He's like, all right, let's have sex.
Especially
like, I was grateful that they actually, especially with the men. And I was glad that he was just like, no, like, where is she? Like, he wasn't dumb. So I appreciated that. But I got to tell you, I cannot understand why these women are fighting over this man who looks like the love child of that troll doll that's been popular for years, and Nicholas Blair from Dark Shadows, Humberto Allen Astredo. I mean, he is so unattractive right now with that weird hairdo, that weird thing, that little pudgy thing going on. I can't buy that these two women are going to these extremes to be with this one, And I'm sorry, it's just the way I feel. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm tired of the double standard. I'm tired of women on daytime getting critiqued if they even like eat a hamburger and put on like a pound. And meanwhile, these guys, because you know who used to do that? Nathan Fillion on Castle. Nathan Fillion in those last seasons of Castle just put on weight. He didn't care. He's the lead in Castle. But but if the lead female had done that, if she had put on weight, she would have been fired. Yeah. And now he's on that show, The Rookie, and the first season, he was still a little out of shape. Notice how he got his shit together for that second season. Somebody probably told him, you're playing a cop. You need to get... Because I was so shocked when the second season came out, and he was, like, slim again. I'm like... And so this double standard, I'm not feeling. If the women have to be in shape, then so do the guys. Sorry. You're unattractive like that. You look like a fool. I'm like, I can't buy these women fighting over this guy. It's like, whatever.
Because even if they were fighting over Bill, I would totally get that.
Well, I would get that over Wyatt. Wyatt is just so with that little Hitler mustache. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But he just, I don't know. It's just you girls get all the men in LA, and this is what you're going crazy about. I mean, for God's sake, Sally was with the other Thomas. I mean, come on. I don't know. I will say Liam looked mighty good with some extra pounds there, though. He was looking all zaddy. I was like, yeah, buddy. I was like, yeah, see? And then what else happened? Well, yes. It was really stupid when Wyatt got to the door. He's like, Flo, and she's like, Wyatt? And it's like, well, who else is it going to be? And then he kicked the door down, and yes, Les is absolutely right. What happened once he got in there was some of the worst thing. And I'm sorry, it goes to execution. That could have worked. It had nothing to do with the fact that they were using their real partners or anything like that. It was all in the editing. The slow-mo, the up-close looks, his weird reactions, because his facial expressions were so over the top. And everybody knows when you're acting in front of the camera, you got to tone it down. This is not theater. You don't need to perform for the people in the back row. And it just, yeah.
if she would have been chained to the radiator and they did that same thing, I would have bought it. I would have totally bought it.
It was just very over the top, the slow-mos, everything. It was just unnecessary. If you would have cut it up and speed it up a little bit, it would have flied and it would have looked better. I think by doing the whole slow motion and so many different takes in the back and forth, you made it more noticeable that of what was going on. So that, we can't blame that on the actors. That's on the directing and the editing. That was horrendous. I was like, good Lord. Yeah, it was really bad. It was so bad. So the other storylines was Miss Thing, Steffi, who I can't stand. A couple of weeks ago, they were showing this classic episode where there was this chase. They were on location and they did like a doom buggy chase, and it was like something right out of Batman, the TV series from the 60s. And that's what happened this week, except it was a little bit better. She thought she was Batgirl. She got on a motorcycle and Bill hit her. And I was just like, die, Steffi, die, because, you know, I'm not a big fan of her. But I will say this, and everybody better sit down because you're never going to probably hear this from me again. She did a promo for I don't know where it was one of those promos where I don't know if it was the one where she said they were coming back or whatever. And she had on like little to no makeup. She actually looked really pretty. I was like, you're kind of a natural beauty. And maybe it's not, maybe it's the makeup that you put on too much of it and it makes you look like you know, I was just like, I don't know, but she actually looked decent. I was like, oh, she's kind of cute.
Excuse me. Who are you really, and what have you done with Jordan Hudson?
That's like the only time I'm going to give her a compliment.
I know you're the doppelganger taking over his life, and you're Jordan Hudson, because I can't believe I just heard that come out of your mouth.
No, I call it. I call it like I see it. She actually looked, I was actually shocked myself. I was like, oh my God. And I actually didn't think she was that bad in that scene with Liam, but I still want her to die. I can't stand her character. So anyway, she gets hit, and it's so bizarre because Bill comes in and we get introduced to Steffi's new love interest, the doctor, who looked like the missing Ford brother from One Life to Live. I was like, there's another one? Right. For those of you who don't remember the Ford brothers, the infamous Ford brothers on One Life to Live. And then to make it worse, his name is Finn, another doctor named Finn. Don't we have that in general? Can't these soap operas be original? My God. I mean, the British soap operas have like 150 characters on each show, and everybody has different names. I mean, Finn, another doctor called Finn. He wasn't Cameron Matheson bad, because for those of you who don't know, I always feel like the day that I realized that All My Children was dying was the day that Cameron Matheson started. Honestly, the minute he walked in with his shirt open, I said, All My Children's getting dumb. It was the beginning of the end with Cameron Matheson. So he wasn't that bad. But, it was a little weird. I mean, he's a doctor. His hair is all gelled up. You know, he looks like he's 12.
Well, that's LA, though.
For some reason, he knew who Bill was. And Bill didn't know him, but he knew who Bill was. He was like, yes, Mr. Spencer. And I'm like, wait a minute, how do you know him? It was a very awkward thing. I mean, he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't that bad. I mean, God knows we've seen worse actors, and then of course, nobody could put two and two together. I mean, Ridge gets there, Brooke gets there, and Brooke did say, like, well, why are you here? But it's just like, why do you think he's there? Because he's the one who hit her. Like, this is what I'm talking about, people being stupid on soap operas. It's like, put two and two together. Why do you think he's there?
Right.
I mean, that's the first thing that would come into my head. Is it you hit, huh? Is that why you here?
Right.
Yeah, so it was, Steffi could die for all I care. And then at the end of the week, Zoe and Ridge were talking about something, and I don't know. I was like, I hope they're not going to put Ridge with Zoe, because that's disgusting. I know they like to put him with young women, but I don't know. And that outfit that Brooke had on, whoa, that was dreadful. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Well, what? That was, I'm sorry. She should have complained about that. That was the most, what an unattractive outfit to be on a woman of a certain age. Like it was not flattering. It did not help her Botox face that was bloated. It only enhanced it. And the hair, everything. I was like, ooh, that's not a good look on you, girl. That's not, I hate to be like Joan Rivers, but it really was not good. So I was like, oh no, Brooke. Sorry. And then what it also looks weird is that she looks like she's old enough to be Ridge's mother now.
Yeah,
there, I said it.
I agree. Well,
I mean, the fact that they made Ridge younger now.
Well, and after watching all of the reruns and what she used to look like, she now looks she looks very matronly. And we've learned from Susan Lucci that you can be a woman of a certain age and look fantastic, and you don't have to be, because isn't Susan Lucci like in her 70s?
Exactly. Yes, and Susan Lucci looks amazing. For those of you who don't know, Google, she was at the Daytime Emmys, like I think 3 or 4 years ago when they were doing a tribute to All My Children and Agnes Nixon, and I was blown away with how hot she looked in that at that Emmy. Like she looked like I was just like, girl, go. I mean, I look, I think women of a certain, like Helen Mirren is up there and she looks fabulous, hotter than a lot of these. It is a state of mind. It doesn't matter how old you are, how heavy you are. Beauty really does come from within people. And I think that if more people would start realizing that and owning that and realizing that you have to love yourself first for anybody else to love you. You got to love yourself. You got to just really radiate that and let your natural beauty come out. I mean, when I look at a person, what makes them attractive, what makes them beautiful is what's coming from inside, not how big they are, not how, old they are, anything. I mean, being attractive is something that just radiates from inside. And when you feel good about yourself and when you own yourself, it just comes out,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm making any sense or if I'm babbling.
No, you're making total sense. No, you're making.
I mean, for instance, Adele. I'm sorry. I've always thought Adele was stunning. I'm a little weirded out by the way the loss. I still think she's beautiful, but I don't feel like there was anything wrong with her before. She was a gorgeous woman. She is a gorgeous woman, Mm-hmm. And I just feel like more people just need to realize that. And I get so hurt when these people feel like they got to put all these chemicals in their thing and they got to, you know what I mean? It's just like, right. No, baby, just age gracefully,
But
just let it happen.
But all in all, though, it's back. And
it's back. It's back. It's back, and I'm, I'm gonna keep watching because we got to do a podcast about it. But I got to tell you, I'm not. I don't want to. We can't keep the whole thing with Katie and Bill. That has to end. They got to move on. That's the problem with this show. Is that you just keep seeing that. Like the one thing that I'm grateful for is that they actually do have a new love interest for Steffi. Because after 10 years, how can you keep? I know that this show has made a career out of it with Ridge and Brooke, but even that's tired. And yeah, you got a new Ridge, but it's the same storyline. Since he took over as Ridge, how many times have they broken up and gotten back together? It's over already. It's so move on, find new people. If it didn't work the 18th time, it's not going to work the 19th time. Even a new Ridge and you can't make it work, girl. Move on. Find somebody else. And I got to tell you, looking at those classic episodes, he's awful as Ridge. I can't believe that he's been on the show for 7 years playing Ridge.
Wow, 7 years already?
Yeah, right. It doesn't feel that way. Now, I mean, maybe I'm in a minority, but I will say this. I've never been a fan. Mm-hmm. Not on All My Children. I really hated Zach. I hated Zach with Kendall. I felt like she was better with anybody but him. What a waste of an actress putting her with him. And I really hated him on One Life to Live. I never liked Patrick Thornhart or whatever his name was. I mean, to me, he plays the same character. There's no difference between Zach, Ridge, and Patrick, except Patrick had that long, gnarly looking hair. And I don't get it. I don't see the appeal. it's bizarre to me that all of a sudden Rich has an accent and that he's 25,000 years younger and nobody says anything. That now Brooke looks like his mother. No, it's just, I don't know. I just don't get that casting at all.
And the thing is, and let's face it, it's not like Ron Moss was Shakespeare, but like looks wise, the guy was like, say what you will, the guy was stunning. I thought.
Well, I felt like he got better. I mean, when you look at that first episode, when they re-showed the very first episode about the computer, and you look at some of the other episodes, he improved and he grew as an actor. I agree with you. He wasn't going to do Shakespeare, but I don't think he was bad. I think that, some actors really learn and they grow in their time on a soap opera, and I felt like he did that. He was enjoyable and entertaining to watch. They always wrote, and kept him in his lane. They didn't try to give him, because that's the other thing too, is like, you writers got to write for these actors. Don't be giving them something that they can't handle. Right. That's not going to work. You gotta, and I feel like they always kept him in his lane and he was fine. But I don't understand Thorsten Kaye's take on the character. I don't even know if there is a take on the character, to be honest with you. I just feel like, I feel like his take is like, I want that paycheck. I gotta pay for the house and the kids going to college. That's what I get out of his performance. I don't feel like there's anything, there's just nothing. It's just very bland. There's nothing happening with him. And watching all these like episodes, these bad, but those last week of Bold and the Beautiful reruns, again, Black Excellence, I was like, where are those characters? All these, that Texas and Daisy, was that how you pronounce her name? Okay, where are they? Yeah,
they just did. Oh no, the characters moved, I think.
I know, but what I'm saying is, yet again, I'm seeing these classic episodes. I'm seeing Black Excellence, and I'm like, where are the black people now?
Because I love
Carter's
Daisy
on the show. I was enjoying watching her, and you know who else I enjoyed? Our girl from on Days of Our Lives. I didn't know she was a bad girl. I didn't know Carolyn was a bad girl at the beginning. Yeah. The episode that I saw was her trying to break up Maya and Rick, and I was all feeling that episode.
And
I was feeling her.
And the thing is, they made her the character very complex because she wasn't a racist. It wasn't that she was a racist. She was a classist. Like, she could give a crap what color Maya was. She was a classist, and that like put an interesting spin on it, I thought.
Well, but she also loved Rick, and she thought Rick and her were like, So I was feeling that episode. I was like, why can't they go back to this instead of that crap I'm watching now? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get it. And if they had her and they wrote her off because it wasn't like she quit. They decided to kill off the character. Their loss was Days of Our Lives' game.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were stupid to let her go. I mean, I will admit that I was not a fan with that one episode that I saw of her with Ridge, but I also didn't think that she should have been put with him. That's a waste of an actress.
Right.
He's old enough to be her grandfather. Hello.
Right.
So it was just like, Well, moving on to Young and the Restless, because Young and the Restless, what?
Oh, no, go ahead. No,
Young and the Restless is still in reruns. We have no word yet of when Young and the Restless is coming back. I don't know. Have you even heard it? They even started taping yet?
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard if they're taping. I don't know what the hell is going on. Nobody said anything about Young and the Restless. I will say this, that Eric Braeden introduced this week, because this week is the Newmans, and he did introduce it, and it almost looked, he was outside somewhere, and it almost looked like he was at a studio. I don't know. It could have just been his house. Maybe his house was like a studio. So don't take me out. But there's been no word on Young and the Restless coming back yet, so we're still lucky because we're getting classic Young and the Restless, and they really gave us classic last week. We started the week off with the very first, because Young and the Restless was a half-hour soap, so they gave us the very first 2 episodes of Young and the Restless, and I personally was gagging. I was living for it. I know everybody else was probably bored out of their minds, but I was living for it. Why? Because it was classic soap opera. It was all character driven. The characters were just talking. You were getting to know them. It was all William Bell setting everything up. We got to see all these families, the Brooks, that are totally non-existent anymore. For those of you who don't know, the Brooks were the original family. This man with his 4 daughters, they were always getting into freaking chaos and drama. That stranger, Brad, who came to town with a mystery, and I was living for the opening credits, and I love those original opening credits. But my favorite moment was the scene before they went to the opening credits, the second scene, and she's like, "I'm restless." I was like, "What, man?" They don't do stuff like that anymore. She's like, "I can't take Genoa City. I'm restless." I was like, "Word!" It was like something right out of a Cowboy Net skit. I was living for it. So Jordan was very happy watching the very first 2 episodes of Young and the Restless. Plus, we got to see all these actors that we don't see anymore. What's his name? William, I always forget his name. William Gray Espy, or William Espy Gray. He was Jill's brother. William Gray Espy, who was Jill's brother, Snapper, right? No, Snapper. And he was also, for those
by David Hasselhoff.
who was replaced by David Hasselhoff. I mean, whatever. But he was also, for those of you who are big Another World fans like I was, he was Mitch on Another World. So, so it was great to see him. Janice Lynn, who was one of the Brooks sisters, and she went on to be on One Life to Live. It was good. I was having a great time watching it. It was just, and it reminded me that first decade of Young and the Restless was fierce,
Didn't they show the Kay's facelift?
Who?
Did they?
Well, no, wait. Wait. Before we get to that, they did show the original Jill, Brenda Dickinson, who was the original Jill. She looked so cute. She was like 12. She looked so adorable. But yes, the next episode, one of the episodes that week was Catherine Chancellor's facelift. And for those of you who know, Jeannie Cooper had a facelift in real life, and she wanted it to be part of the storyline. So that was like all real.
Groundbreaking.
You got to give Jeannie, very, very groundbreaking. Jeannie Cooper on point. And see, that's what I'm saying. She had a facelift done, but she had it done the right way.
Mm-hmm.
It was just enough to enhance and to give your face a lift. She didn't need to look like she was 12. She just, she did what she did, and she looked good.
Right.
I was like, go for you, Jeannie. That's all. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying, in control. We also saw a classic episode where we got to see Terry Lester as the original Jack. And it was interesting to watch. I don't want to say that Terry Lester was a bad actor. It could just be that Jack was so young and one-dimensional back then. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if because again, the character grew as Peter Bergman played the character. The character went through a lot of stuff, and he grew up. So you can't. I don't think it's fair to compare the two. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes the characters change. They grow. They get deeper as they get older. When Terry Lester was playing and Jack was just that young kind of like you think about Michael Knight playing Tad. He played Tad throughout, and his Tad as an adult compared to Tad in the early years, the character grew up. But it was great to watch Terry Lester. I was just like, but he ain't no Peter Bergman, but I don't think that's a reflection on him as an actor. I just think the character was just kind of one note back then,
Yeah.
And we got to see also his secretary in one episode, and Paul's secretary, and they were regular characters. Carol Robbins and Lynn Bassett. And they don't do that anymore. They don't have those kind of like secondary characters who are part of the, show.
And wasn't it one of them, I remember one of them had a disability of some sort.
Yeah, Carol Robbins. She was Jack's secretary. She had a disability.
And they would do articles about her in Soap Opera Digest, and she was, she was an advocate. Yeah,
that was a real, like, it wasn't like She was pretending. That was that was, you know. And then this was like fan favorite week. That's why they were showing these episodes. And I don't know who was a fan of Katy Perry that they need to show that episode. I was like, hold up. I mean, is Katy Perry even relevant anymore? I mean, she's like a host now on that. What's that? I even forgot the name of the show. What is it? American Idol. I mean, once you do that, you're done. Your career is done, girl. I mean, it was just amazing to me that this is supposed to be fan week, and I can't believe that we're supposed to believe with all the episodes that Young and the Restless has, the fans were clamoring for the Katy Perry episode. I don't buy that. It was really a horrible episode to watch because of that. Like, it was so ridiculous. This was like at the beginning of Katy Perry's career, so I guess it was like hot they were able to get her. But it's very rare that I like episodes where they're like pushing a product or a person or a show, because it's always forced. And that's the way I felt about this episode. It felt very forced. She was doing the cover of this new, and again, bad writing. I'm supposed to believe that these people who've all cheated on each other are now in business together for a magazine. When we saw a few weeks ago an episode where Sharon was on Nick about the fact that she wanted Phyllis out of the corporation because he slept with her. And meanwhile, a few years later, her, Jack, Nick, and Sharon, they're all putting a magazine together. Everything just seemed very forced. It was horrible to watch. We also got to see that actress Sabrina that was married to Victor for like a hot minute, and they killed her off. I don't know what her ethnicity is in real life, but she obviously was not white, so it was nice to see somebody of color. But they immediately killed her off. Like, she wasn't even on the show for like a year. She fell in love with Victor, got married to him, and then she was dead. And we got to see the original adult Adam. Now, people said that he was really good. I saw this episode, and I did see a couple of his other episodes, and I got to tell you, I don't see it. I didn't think he was that great. I didn't see what everybody was clamoring about. I didn't think he was that great of an actor, and this episode proved me right. He was dull as dishwater. I was like nodding off every time he like came on the screen. Like, his voice lulled me into a coma. I was just like, it was really, really, really bad. Yeah. And then Friday's episode was interesting because we got to see Gina Tagliano as Phyllis. And I loved her as Phyllis. Big mistake getting rid of her. Right. We got to see Steve Burton as Nikki's long lost son, and he was just as boring as he is on General Hospital. I see. I mean, he was boring. Was it basically just Jason Morgan? Yeah, in a different show. No, it was just Jason Quartermain. He wasn't wearing a black t-shirt and killing people, so he was Jason Quartermain. He was just as boring. We got to see that boring Kyle, the Australian gay guy who's on Station 19 now. Ooh, he was bad as Kyle. Wow. I was like, wow, who did he blow to get that job? Ooh, I'm sorry I should have said that. And you know who else was on? Who? The hot Joey from One Life to Live. I forgot him. Because he was a detective. His name, he played the crooked detective. For those of you who don't know, he was the Joey because I got to give One Life to Live credit. When other soap operas harass their children. Is this harass? How do you pronounce it? Harass. When you harass your children, like Young and the Restless, I don't know how those twins of Kate and Lily's are in college when they were just born 10 years ago. But okay. One Life to Live did the exact opposite. I didn't think they were ever going to age Vicky's kids. Right. And when they finally did age them, it was kind of almost the age that they kind of should have been anyway. So it was kind of like, okay. Because and he was the first like teenager that played Joey, and he was the Joey that was opposite Ryan Phillippe as gay boy Billy Douglas. And he was, he was dorky. He was a typical dorky teenage boy. It was. I wouldn't say he was ugly, but he wasn't like hot or anything. It was just he was average. Right. But boy, did he grow up to be a hunk and a half. He's hotter than all the other Joeys that came after him. He's a Nathan Fillion. And I have to say, when Nathan Fillion took over as Joey, I really was hot for Nathan Fillion. I got over that after that. He was kind of hot on Firefly, but when he started Castle, I was like, he let himself go. He's kind of looking hot now, though, that he's lost the weight. But anyway, getting back to this actor, he grew up to be one hot hunk.
Right.
Wow. And I always IMDb him and try to search to see if there's like any wife or girlfriend, and there's never any mention of a wife or girlfriend. But I'm sure he's straight. They're all straight. All the hot ones are straight. I can't. I get so heartbroken. Why can't the hot ones be gay? Why are they always straight? I remember when almost every actor on a soap opera was gay. Now they're all straight.
Right.
So it was great to see Hot Joey, Chris, whatever his name is. And I was living for it. So we went through Y&R, we went through Bold and the Beautiful. There's nothing to say on General Hospital. Now we get to talk about our favorite American soap opera right now.
Dates, which it looks like everybody's leaving. My God. So so Eric is leaving. The actor that plays Eric is leaving. The actor that plays Sierra is leaving. Hope is leaving.
The gays are leaving. Rafe's leaving.
Right.
Gabrielle's leaving. That's 7 people. I don't know. The show is going to be the Lonnie, Eli, Xander, and Sarah show.
Right.
Oh no, we got to add a Chad and Abigail to it. I got to tell you, I have not seen a mass exodus like this since Another World in the mid '80s. Another World, and I honestly don't remember any soap opera ever having. Yeah, people leave, but to have major characters all leave around the same time, that's kind of unusual. And Another World suffered that in the 80s. They lost 6 of their biggest players all at the same time. Tom Eplin and Ellen Wheeler. And Ellen Wheeler played 2 characters. So that's even worse. You're losing 2 people. They left at the same time. Stephen Schnetzer and Julie Osborne, who played Cass and Kathleen, and Anna Stewart as Donna Love, and Sharon Gabet as Brittany Peterson. All 6 of them were the focal point of the story. The show revolved around their characters, and they all left around the same time. And people say that it didn't affect the show, but it did. I mean, the show rebounded. What wound up happening was they got a whole bunch of new fans that started watching it, but it did hurt the show. To lose 6 people that have been in the forefront. And some of these characters that we're losing on Days haven't been in the forefront. But they're all major characters in my eyes. They're all important characters, and I don't understand why everybody is bailing. I don't think that people are being truthful. I really don't. I think, for those of you who don't know, we talked about this when Jillian was on the podcast. Days did something really grimy. They released everybody from their contract. Now, for those of you, what that means basically is these actors that are on contract are no longer on contract. So it means that when they come back to the table, the company or whatever can renegotiate. They have to renegotiate everything. You're no longer. They basically fired everybody. They released them. They're free agents. So it's just like, you're not on contract. See, that's the way soap operas maneuver things. It's like your contract's up. Oh, my contract's up. I want more money. You want me to stay? I want more money. That's what usually happens. And now they're like, all of you all let go. So now I think what's happening is it's a matter of, all right, now we're getting back to the table because we're getting back to shooting. We have to renegotiate. And I think what's going on is they're lowballing everybody. They're expecting people to come back for less than what they were making, and that's why people are leaving. That's my theory, because honestly, why would you leave a paying gig at this point in time? Things are really rough. Right? Things were rough before the pandemic for actors. It's even rougher now, so why would you leave a paying gig? And the only thing I could think of, because it's very weird. Greg Vaughn makes it seem when you read his interviews and everything, it makes it seem like it wasn't his choice. And yet Ron Carlivati does this whole tweet thing like, I hope you come back, girl. And I'm like, what? And I'm sorry, unlike Jillian, I'm not a fan of Ron. Ron Carlivati is a shady fucking queen. He really is. He could be. You do like it.
I like him.
See, I don't like shady queens, so I'm not a fan.
Him, actually.
The more gay they are, the more I'm not gonna like them. I guys that are very like catty and stuff like that, I can't. I don't go through life like that. I can't. I'm not that kind of person. So that kind of gay doesn't do anything for me. When they're bitchy and queen, don't get me wrong. If somebody does something to me, I will clap back and kill, but I never just am mean for the sake of being mean. And those kind of gays just, when you go out and you meet those gays that are just really just, what's his name was like that? That Queen Ellis. She was an evil bitch. She was the things that could come out of her mouth, let me tell you. I was like, that's why I had to stop hanging out with her, because sometimes she would cock block me, like I'd be interested in the guy, and like she would fuck it up for me.
Oh, that Queen Ellis.
She would like, oh yeah, girl. Like one time we were at the Monster, and we were coming down the stairs, and this guy was coming up there, and he was so my type. He was Latino, gorgeous, and like he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and like, oh, there's all this chemistry and stuff, and and you're supposedly out with what you think is your friend, and I turn to him, and I'm like, oh my God, he's looking at me, and this queen goes, who, the midget? And he heard that. And of course, what people don't realize is you do get judged by the people you associate with. So of course, yeah, you see this evil queen that just called you a midget. He's assuming I'm as stupid and evil as this bitch. And girl, I can tell you countless times that this bitch did this to me. There was another time we were at a bar. We were at Barrage, and this boy was checking me out, and he was so good looking, and I really was like nervous and everything, because I was like, oh my God. And I tell this queen, and she's like, who, the 12-year-old? The kid just looked at me and turned around and walked away. And I'm like, Ellis, if you don't shut your fucking mouth, like, this is, anyway, he's dead to me now. But, shady queens I can't take. So I don't know, Ron's comment to Greg sounded very shady, because I was like, it didn't seem like he left of his own accord, bitch. So what are you talking about? Why are you making a scene like, oh, hey, you're welcome back anytime? That's not the case. So somewhere along the line.
But
I met him at a party.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. I talked about that I met him at a house party when he had just started on One Life to Live, or he was still writing on One Life to Live, but he wasn't the head writer yet. And we were talking because we both like comic books and we both like soap operas. And I was trying to hook up with a comic book artist that was at the party who I had like a major crush on. And me and Ron started talking. And he was nice. Like I didn't dislike him there. I don't get me wrong. The reason I say I don't like Ron, I just don't like the cattiness. When he comes at people, it's just like, I just feel like, I don't know, just I can't. I just no reason to be like that. Like when he came after Sean Kanan, what's the name, who played AJ, that was just uncalled for. It's like, it's just like, I don't know. But anyway. So there's all these people that are leaving Days of Our Lives, and we don't know why.
Yeah, we don't know why.
And we who we never mentioned in our podcast, and I don't know if our listeners know, what's his name? Greg Meng, who's like been like one of the producers of the show for like a long, long time, was let go.
Right. I do know for a fact, because he has like a YouTube podcast sort of a thing. The gays, it was not their choice, because the one guy that plays Sonny, he and his fiance have a podcast, and I listened, like it's a video podcast thing on YouTube, and it was not their choice to leave. the games.
Well, rumor has it, I don't know how true it is, but supposedly they found out by reading the script. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said on this podcast. No, that's exactly what he said on this podcast. They were reading the script.
That's shady.
They looked at the script and saw, oh, I guess we're leaving. That's how they found out.
That's shady. Look. There have been countless times that actors have been treated like crap. All right, the original Ava on Loving. Not everybody thinks Roya McNaught. She wasn't. Patty Lotz, who I love, was the original Ava. They called her up she was getting ready to go to work, okay? And they called her up and said, "You don't need to come in today. You've been replaced. Hello,
wow.
Bye, click." So it's just like, so yeah. I mean, but again, it's one thing when you're doing that to somebody who, these people have been on this show for years. They've been loyal to you. They've been, and I had just read, I don't know if you saw it, but it just came out today. Kristen Alfonso was throwing shade at Days of Our Lives.
No, what did she say? I haven't read that.
Oh, girl, it was on TV Line. Yeah. I mean, she was classy about it. But girl, it's shade.
Really?
Yeah, she was just like, well, this hasn't been the same the Days of Our Lives for the last couple of years. Hello. And I was like, oh. And it's just like, and I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. When she says the last couple of years, I immediately say head writer. Hello, new head writer. That's what I'm reading between the lines. I'm like, she was not feeling these storylines. She was not. But she said it in another interview a while ago. She said how she felt like every time, like they put her with Aiden and she felt like it was working, and then they messed it up. The writer, they changed everything and they messed it up. She didn't say whether it was the writer or the producer. And then she talked about, then they get me with Rafe, and I agree with her. I totally agree with her. And I was so glad that she said that. She goes, you don't even let them like have a moment, and it's already breaking them up. And that's the problem with these soaps. It's like they don't know how to write long term. Everything is just short term. Everything's a quick fix. We get them together. The minute they're together, we break them up again. You don't know how to write a romance. You don't know how to write a love story. I mean, you can't have a Jesse and Angie if you don't have them ever be together and be in love.
Right.
Think how boring that is if Jesse and Angie like got together and then they get broken up immediately. No, it was like Jesse and Angie. That's a love story. That's why when they brought Jesse and Angie back and they brought him back from the dead and we saw them at the train station, we were all melting and crying. You can't get that with these characters. You can't do that with Rafe and Hope because you didn't even give Rafe and Hope a chance.
True.
Like it just, so I was feeling all her comments. I'm like, you go, girl. You stick up for yourself. But she's adamant she's not coming back. She said, I'm done. I'm done.
Wow.
And people were nasty. Some of the comments were so nasty. And I'm like, you know what? If it was a guy saying all this, nobody would be saying shit. But whenever a woman speaks up, because what's her name from Grey's Anatomy gets so much flack every time she speaks up about anything. They call her the B word. They always say nasty. And it's like, she's only saying what a guy would say. If a guy would say these things, nobody would even bat twice. You're an employee, you're working, this is your job. You have every right to speak up about the way that you're being treated, the way, you know what I mean? Like, it's unbelievable. Exactly. I was reading some of the comments. They were so, she'll be back. Who she thinks she is? She's the actress that's been playing the role for 37 years.
Right.
She has every right to say what she wants to say. Ooh, I can't. I get very, I don't like when women get disrespected. I really don't.
Well, it's a woman's genre anyway. So that really, it's funny sometimes how they treat women in this genre when it's a woman's genre, Yeah.
That I don't know. But anyway, I will say this: it was a good week on Days of Our Lives, despite that the serial killer was getting married. I will say there was still a lot of entertaining things.
Yes.
I mean, Monday's episode, you really found out why Deirdre Hall gets paid the big bucks. You really do, because she gave the performance of a lifetime with Ben. The fact that Ben killed her grandson and she's acting like if nothing, I applaud her. She was so caring and loving with Ben, and I was just like, you know, you this is why you get paid the big bucks. I mean, I don't know whether it's her just saying I'm going to suck it up and do it, or just like Thorsten K, she's like, got to pay for that mortgage.
Right.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what her thought process is, but you know, there's two kinds of actors. There's the actors that to them, this is a paycheck. Give me the lines. I'm going to say them and make them work. And then there's those actors that will, like Robin Strasser, and she got a lot of flack for it, but I respect her a lot. She questions shit. She ain't going to just do whatever. I was on the set of One Night to Live, and I didn't feel like she was ever disrespectful or anything like that, but she cared about her damn work. She cared about her character. She cared, and this is a true story, and I don't care if I get in trouble for saying it, but I was on set for an episode where Asa had died, and Dorian had come over, and she was taking over Buchanan Enterprises somehow, and she was supposed to be busting into this board meeting, and in the script they wanted her to like knock down this portrait of Asa and say, like, I think the line was like, the king is dead, long live the queen. And you know, she had a request. She wasn't being a bitch or a diva. She had a request, and she was just like, you know, she asked, she goes, can you ask if the, you know, and her thing was like, even though Dorian and Asa had their differences and everything, there was a respect there. And she felt that she wouldn't just be so callous as to knock down. Her thing was, can't I just put the portrait down?
Right.
They approved it. But my feeling was like, you know, it's those kind of little things that always get you like a bad rep, where people are like, oh, you're being difficult. No, she gives a fuck about her character. She gives a fuck about the history of the show and everything. And I have to agree with her. I'm sorry, the writer was wrong. And you know who the writer was. She was absolutely right. So sometimes, I'm sorry, the actors do know these characters better than the writers. They do. Because I think she's absolutely right. I don't think that Dorian's not that kind of character. I don't think she would be like that. So yeah, to me, and when I saw that, I had so much respect for her. And I was on the set with her many times. There was one time where she actually, her character was really saying something in Spanish. And she turned to me and she said, is this the correct way to say this? I was like, what? So Deirdre Hall gets my respect because I really believe those scenes with her and Ben. Even though the fact that he killed her grandson, I was just like she was just really good in those scenes. I was just like, go girl.
So they go to get married, and the church blows up. Who do you think blew up the church?
Well, we don't know yet. Everybody's saying that it's Eve. You told me it was Eve. A lot of people online are saying that it's Eve.
But did you watch today's yet?
No, I haven't watched today's yet. I haven't watched yesterday. Yesterday was preempted here in New York, so I have to watch it on demand. They didn't show it live here in New York. They showed the episode around the rest of the country. We didn't get it.
Right.
So I have to watch that on demand, and then I can watch today. But did they show today who it is?
No, they didn't show, but they mentioned a name. And you know how soaps are. Once they mention the name, that means they're probably coming back at some point.
Ooh. Well, as Claire pointed out, there's a million people that could have done it.
Right, I felt bad for her. I felt bad for her.
I'm sorry. I loved Claire last week throughout everything. I loved everything about Claire. See, this is a perfect example. Like, why are you writing this girl off? She is so much fun to watch.
I felt bad for her.
You know what? I hope that when she gets exonerated, I hope she tells them all, when they're all like, oh, Claire, we're so sorry. She's like, fuck y'all. I'm going to Japan with my dad and mom. Y'all can suck my D. Because I do think that it's so horrible that they're all on her, including and what's her name was rough with her, Sierra, and I know she was grieving and everything, but the way she stormed in there with her breasts all with all that dirt on her breast, I could not stop. I'm sorry, her breasts are beautiful. That dress was just like, I was just staring at her breasts. I was like, wow. But she was really ruthless. Like she was so vile with Claire, and I felt my heart broke for Claire. And I'm like, you know what? When you prove her wrong, don't forgive her. Don't forgive any of them.
Right.
Give them the finger and leave town, because it's so horrible. And she's absolutely right. It's like everybody forgives Ben, but everybody can't give her it's amazing to me. Ben killed people. He killed Will.
and they act like nothing happened.
And they act like nothing happened. But meanwhile, Claire, all she did was try to burn Sierra once, and it's like, oh. I mean, it's just, I just feel bad for Claire. But again, the actress is doing a great job, and she's playing it for all it's worth. I do see what everybody sees in Xander and Sarah. I was feeling them this week. I really like them.
Yeah.
I really do. I love me some Julie and Doug.
Now
I didn't. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was saying I'm getting my weeks mixed up a little bit. Vivian left this week, right? At the beginning of the week.
Vivian left that last week. That was the death, the funeral. That really wasn't a funeral. That was first of all, can we talk about that tasteless joke with Will and Ben when Will was trying to stop Ben from going to see Sierra? And I forgot what it was. Will said, "I was you're gonna have to kill me to get there." And he's like, "We tried that, it didn't work." I was like, "Who wrote that? Like, right. How is that even funny?" And I'm just sitting. See, this is where it's one thing to be, campy, tongue in cheek, and laughing at itself. But at some point, it's like, all right, that doesn't work. And I'll tell you, when Ron first started on One Night's Live, there was this episode where he got Brady and Lucas drunk, and they were commiserating. And I'm like, I don't feel that the scene would work if the two characters weren't recovering alcoholics. I didn't find anything funny about that scene. And I didn't find that joke with Will and Ben funny. I'm like, it's already ridiculous that this man strangled you and killed you, and you are now his best man. Because we didn't talk about that, but when Sammy found out, I was on Team Sammy with that. When Sammy walked in on them on his bachelor thing and she went off, I'm like, yeah, finally, the voice of reason. Somebody's calling it for what it is. I don't know. I was just like, But yes, Vivian did pretend to die, and that was some funny stuff. That whole stuff with her and Ivan and Kate and Jake and Gabby were great. That was great stuff last week.
Now, and so obviously they're leading towards Jake, Gabby, Gwen triangle. Because
but how can they when she's leaving?
True. I'm thinking with her. I'm really thinking that it's gonna be she's gonna go away for a couple of months and come back. She can't be leaving.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I really do. I really hope you're right.
Because she went. I love how she went as Ben's date to the wedding. And
Jake.
then, oh no, and then to the
Ben.
wedding.
Jake.
Oh, who did I say?
You said Ben. You said you were glad she went to Ben.
Yeah,
Jake.
She went Jake. She went with Jake to as his date, and when the thing blew up, she got pissed at Jake. I love that.
Their scenes were so good. Everything about their scenes were oh my God, the writing and the performance. But how do you not see that these two are just perfect together? I was so invested in Jake and her.
And Gwen is like the perfect villainess.
Yeah,
she's like perfect. And they could have easily done it. That would have been like. I hope Gabby's not leaving because that would be like a fantastic quadrangle because you could tell that Chad's kind of into Gwen. like a Chad, Gwen, Jake, Gabby.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
And then Crazy Abby could be just whatever.
All I know is that Gabby and Jake are everything. Chandler Massey looked so bored during that wedding. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, every time the camera would like pan on him, I don't think he even realized that he was on camera. He was just like looking up at the sky, looking all like it was like, dude. Then you wonder why they fired you.
Yeah,
and
but
then
think of it.
Drake Hogan. Drake. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he knows that he's fired already, but he still has to go to work, and he knows he's fired, and he has to like, you know, so it's probably like counting down the days.
Well, Drake Hoganson is the exact opposite. He was like, they're not going to fire me. I'm going to give it all. Drake Hoganson was giving an Oscar-worthy performance last week. He was pushing everything. You would have thought that the place really blew up. That man does not want to lose his job.
Right.
I was like, you go, John Black. You give us life. It doesn't matter that this is all fake. You think it's real, and that's all that matters.
He's like, listen, I need my SAG insurance. I'm not losing my.
Yes, I was like, he was like giving it he was playing it for all his worth. All his worth.
I got a mortgage.
And I got to tell you, Sammy. This is a perfect example. I don't know if Allison Sweeney's had any work done or not, but what I'm telling you is that I think she's even more beautiful now than when she was younger. I've always said this. I think women, when they get older, they get more attractive, they get more confident. There's just this thing about them. And I think that she is just stunning right now. She is living her best life. She looks amazing. The writing for her is on point. It's not too much. It's not too little. Everything about her return this time, I'm enjoying so much. I'm enjoying watching her. I love her with Allie. And the way she manipulated Rafe, those scenes with her and Rafe, it almost makes you realize, why are they writing Rafe off? And I've never been necessarily a big, huge fan of his. I don't think he's the greatest actor. I'm not too pleased that this is the second time he's playing a Latino character when he's not really Latino.
He's not Latino?
No.
He's not?
No, I think there's like a quarter of him that like is like supposedly like from an island off of Spain or something, but that doesn't make you Latin, please.
I thought he was Latin. I thought he was Latin.
No, child. No. I mean, with Passions, you get away with it because the characters were half Latin. You know, Lopez Fitzgerald.
Right.
But his character on Days is supposed to be Latin, and he's not Latin. But I actually was one of the people that thought that him and Hope were a great couple. I really liked when they were putting them together, and I felt like if she can't be with Bo, I want her with Rafe. And I really was so disappointed that the writers screw up everything about what could have been a good, you know, powerful power couple, super couple on a show. I agree with Kristen Alfonso. They ruined any chance of her and Rafe being like a super couple with the kind of crappy stuff they were giving them. But I love the scenes with Sammy and him, and she was manipulating him.
Oh yeah,
she's so bad. I will say they are in a shoestring budget, and they were making sure that they were saving all their money for this wedding, because this wedding was actually in the church. There were actually extras. Right. It was like an actual wedding. I thought that kiss was bizarre. Like, what was up with that kiss? He was kissing Sierra, and then like he took her down to the floor. Like, what was that about? That was so weird. There were so many awkward little bizarre things. You know, Julie's speech was interesting, comparing him to like a tomcat. Some feral cat that Sarah was playing with as a kid. I thought it was bizarre that Doug and Will were like behind Xander. Because shouldn't it be like the immediate families, like in the first 2 rows, and then other, like Xander and Sarah were ahead of Will and Doug, and Doug is like her grandfather. Like, why is he all in the back? Like, it was just really bizarre. I was like, and then like Sonny's not there, and I get it. He killed your husband. Why would you want to go to the wedding? You're probably fighting about it, but Sonny, like, there was so many bizarre things. I thought the special effects were good. I thought the way the explosion happened was cool. I was like, yeah, that took your whole budget for the year, I'm sure.
Right.
I was just like, oh, it was good. It was good. The after effect was really bizarre. You know, I mean, again, shoestring budget, no firemen.
Right.
Like, it was just so weird that this fire happened, and everybody's like, oh, we got to get out of here. We got to get, the building's unstable, blah, 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 blah. But meanwhile, Sean Douglas gets a fire extinguisher and is able to put it out, and they're able to hunt for Ben, even though, like, the building's supposed to be collapsing, and everybody's like scared for their life. Like, there was just so many things that were so wrong. I mean, God, you couldn't even afford one fireman. It was so weird. And you know,
no,
you talk about
pay Ali Sweeney.
Huh? Yeah.
You had to pay Ali Sweeney. She's not cheap, I'm sure.
And then there's smoke inhalation. Like, what about that? Like, the fact that like you know what I mean? Like, these people are all still in this burned out thing. It's like, shouldn't you be worrying about, like, and meanwhile, Hope looks fabulous though.
Right.
That was the amazing thing. Everybody had like suit and stuff, but Hope, there wasn't a hair out of place. Her makeup wasn't smeared. I was just like, Lord have mercy.
So, like, listen, if I'm gonna leave on top. I'm gonna leave looking good.
Well, or either that, or makeup was like, sorry, we only have enough dust to go around, so we're putting it on Sierra's breast.
Right.
We don't have they were like, we don't have no more dust for the Hope's face. It was all used on Sierra's breast. I was just like, but you know, you got to look past all that. You know, they are on a shoestring budget. It is what it is. It doesn't take away from the fact that it was entertaining. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't brilliant classic soap opera in the sense of like, you know, you're going to win an Emmy for this. But it was fun to watch. I had a good time watching it this week, even though he's a serial killer. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's still things that I will say this. I'm wondering how I'm going to be feeling once all these people leave. If I'm still going to watch.
And I definitely agree. Everybody else can go except Gab. The one I'm bummed about is Gabby, because I'm like, she's such a perfect bad girl. So you need a bad girl. You need, you know, I wouldn't say that she's Sammy Caliber, but she's up there. You need somebody like that on the show. You just do.
Oh, I think she's amazing. But it's not even that. I mean, it's that and more. It's the fact that, like, you have the perfect actor opposite her. The chemistry between her and Brandon Barsh, the way they play off each other. Those scenes last week with her and him when they were first arguing and then being nice to each other, that kind of chemistry, I can't remember the last time I saw that in a soap. Like, you can't make that up. You can't bottle it. It's either there or it isn't, and they have it. And you know who has it too? Lucas and I love Luke. I've always been a team Lucas and Sammy. I always wanted Lucas and Sammy together. I love them together. When they play off each other, their scenes with their daughter and everything were so good. And that girl is so good. Why is she not on contract? I don't know.
So, and here's the thing. So if they do get rid of Gabby, if she leaves, they better make Gwen a rich bitch quickly. Make her a gold digger, or make her marry into a family or something, so that she has money. Because that would be the perfect storm. That would be the perfect storm if she had money, and she wouldn't come close to Gabby, but at least it's something.
Wait. I forgot there was one more historical thing about the vows. I knew I was forgetting something. I love when they were giving each other their vows, and Claire, like, not Claire, Sierra was like talking about how, like, she's like, oh, and you know, and I have to admit that when you found me and you rescued me at my accident, and you took me back to the cabin. I felt so safe, safer than I've ever felt in my entire life. And then when he does the flashback and he's remembering it, she's there with a knife, holding a knife. I was like, yes, bitch, that's how safe you felt, because you knew he was the strangler, and you had a knife. I was like, who raised this stuff? Like, honestly, it was like I'm watching the episode, and I just could not stop laughing. I was like, here she is talking about that she felt safe, but meanwhile we're seeing a clip from that scene, and she has a knife. Like, wow. I'm like, I can't. I really can't.
Well, you know, what are you gonna do?
Oh my God. Well, now we go to our British soap operas. This is our
across the pond.
Across the pond, EastEnders is still missing in action. We have no idea
Hollyoaks is now missing as well.
Hollyoaks is done. I was not. I did not know that this was happening. I wasn't. But even more so, I didn't know that they actually are taking their time off. They're not coming back into the fall. Their last episode, they had an actual commercial with a teaser trailer, which Les was able to find out. Yeah, and you sent me the article. They did shoot some scenes from these episodes. They're opting to take the time off, though. Instead of like getting right back into filming and stuff, they're going to take their time. They're coming back in the fall. So with the stuff that they kind of already filmed, they put together a little like teaser promo. But I was not prepared, and the show was getting so good. So when that happened, I was like, no! I know.
Ended it on a good cliffhanger. It's a good cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's why I was like, no! I was like, don't do this to me! I was like, why are you doing this?
Okay, I gotta tell you, I love Hollyoaks, but like I said, I don't know why I love it, because I don't love the acting. But this is what I think happens, like at the opening credits of Hollyoaks. I think this is what happens. Like, you're listening to the opening credits, and there's the subliminal message going, you will like this show. You'll love this show. Because I love the show, and I don't understand why. I really don't.
You're insane, and I'm never going to agree with you. I love the acting on Hollyoaks. I love everything about Hollyoaks. I love the acting. I love the stories. I've even gone back. For those of you who don't know, Hollyoaks is on Hulu, and they have episodes going back to a year. So I started watching Hollyoaks from July of 2019, and I'm so glad I did, because Harry's still alive. He hasn't died yet. So for those of you who don't know, Perry, what's Parry? I don't know. I think it's Parry Glasspool, I think. Oh, he is so beautiful. He played the troubled Harry, and a gay boy on the show, straight in real life. Again, why these straight guys are straight and not gay. He's just beautiful to watch, and I'm getting to see his exit storyline. And boy, is it really juicy right now. I'm like, oh my God. We got this serial killer going around killing men because she feels like they're not great fathers. I love it. Right. So I'm watching Hollyoaks from a year ago, and I'm loving it. But in present time, this final week was good. The
cliffhanger was good. The cliffhanger was really good.
What was in the cliffhanger?
When he told, what's his name? I'm still getting used to the names. Oh, when the grandfather told the grandfather that they're getting married, because they weren't. Yeah. And that was the last scene.
All right. Well, for those of you who don't know, there are the interracial gay couple on the show is Scott and Mitchell. And Mitchell's the black one, Scott's the white one. Now, Mitchell's storyline is really great. This is why I love the week, because this is the week that we got black excellence on Hollyoaks.
And I have a question.
Yes.
And I have a question. So this is, because I'm very new at watching this. I'm very new. So, okay, so the black couple, do they want to get revenge on Mitchell's family, or is there?
I'm going to explain to you what's going on.
Okay.
So Mitchell, that black couple is not a couple. They're brothers and sister. They're triplets. They're triplets. And I'm not sure, but I think that Mitchell was kept and the other two were not. So they came back looking for revenge on the whole family.
Ooh.
And so Mitchell, so it's kind of like what happened on Another World when Vicky came. Marley was kept and Vicky was given away. It's that kind of a storyline, except with this one, it's triplets instead of twins.
Right.
So that's why they want revenge on Mitchell, but it looks like they both are kind of feeling the fact that they now kind of have a family. And for me, I was just loving watching all the blackness, the black excellence on Hollyoaks last week, because the blacks were all over Hollyoaks.
It was
I was like, you would never see that on an American soap opera unless it was Young and the Restless. I was like, work! And they were all gorgeous. Acting was great. The looks were fabulous. I love me some Martine and Felix. Oh my God. He got back together with Martine, but he did not break up with her niece.
Oh, so their niece and aunt. So then, so Martine and Lisa are niece and aunt.
Their niece, from what I understand, they're niece and aunt. Because when Martine was talking to Lisa, she said, "You're going out with your cousin's father." So that would make Lisa her niece.
Okay. And so she's Mitchell's mother. Is she? Or who's?
Martine is Mitchell's mother and the other two.
Okay.
And Felix is their father.
Okay.
But Lisa's leaving the show. Lisa's the one who's leaving the show. She's the one, she's already gone from the show. She's the one who was talking about the fact that they weren't treating the blacks right on Hollyoaks. She's the one who busted out that story that Daytime Confidential had. So she's the one who was talking about the way they treat people of color on that show. But all I know is that I was enjoying Hollyoaks last week because what happened was Mitchell does not want to just come out and say that they're having a wedding because his grandfather's like a reverend or something, and he's afraid that the grandfather won't accept it or come. So he's made up this elaborate lie that him and Scott are doing some kind of fundraising for asses. I have no idea what that means. Some kind of like animal or insect or
like
something.
A donkey.
And,
like
and like everybody's like at first is believing it, but Scott's people, of course, put two and two together and they realize that it's all fake. So white trash as they are, they got together to have a big hen do for him. And I was on the floor. They had me cracking up. They threw him this like bachelorette party with this gay boy, and it was fabulous. All the females were there. They were all having a big old time. Even Nana McQueen was there. That's the older lady. They only have a couple of people on that show.
That's who she is with the pink hair.
She's the matriarch of the McQueen family. And I was living for all like that. Like the Reverend came in, and it was all tongue in cheek and double entendres, and I was living for the dialogue because he didn't know what he was like. It's okay. I'm an ass man. I was just like, word. He did not know what he was talking about. And then the Mitchell's twin brother, Mitchell's twin brother. He was pushing the sister to ruin everything, and it ended with him breaking the news that there's actually a wedding, and the grandfather was not feeling it. He was like, over my dead body, that's not going to happen. And that's how we left the cliffhanger, and it was like, oh my God, because I really like Scott and Mitchell, and I want them to be happy.
Now, does Mitchell know that they're his brother and sister?
Yeah, they know.
Okay.
Yeah, they all know. I'm assuming they all know. Yeah, they're all there. They're all. I love I love when Lisa and Martine ganged up on Felix because they were trying to find out the truth, and Felix was like, "Hold up! I feel like Jay-Z in the lift." I was on the floor. I was like, "Work!" See, I love intelligent, witty dialogue. He was so funny. Oh, he's so fine. And it's funny, I was trying to figure out why Brody was so invested in this abuse storyline with Felix and Warren. And I forgot, Brody's part of another storyline that you don't know about. Brody, there was, the what's his name? The hot little boy? I can't remember his name now. The one that did the horrible rap?
Oh, yeah.
Ollie, yeah. When Ollie came out, there was this whole big storyline where I read about this one. Ollie was being abused by his coach, and it winds up that his coach had abused Brody when Brody was a teenager. So that was like this whole big storyline that was really powerful a little while ago. So that explains why Brody is so invested in this whole war and in Felix thing. And they had some really great scenes where Felix was just like, yeah, my situation is not like yours. He never touched me like that, you know? Mm-hmm. And then Brody's, you know, other half, she was like, well, you know, you need to, maybe it's not the fact that you're upset about that, but that you still haven't resolved your issues with him. Right. And he talked about the fact that yeah, Ali got justice. The guy went to prison for what he did to Ali, but he didn't go to prison for what he did to Brody. And Brody tried to go see him, and the guy refused. And that storyline is coming back into play, because what we saw in the coming attractions is that at some point Brody is going to confront him, because they showed us a little clip of that. So yeah, Hollyoaks is like really heating up. And that's the one thing I got to say. Even though Hollyoaks sometimes can be a little over the top with certain storylines, it's always coming from a place of like realness, like real issues and stuff. And I love that about it, because you even see like when they go to commercial or sometimes on the screen, the hashtag comes up. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Ooh, one more question. So the couple where the guy's buying his girlfriend a jacket. Now, is that person? So the person they were buying it from is it a trans person?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know those characters that well.
But why? Because she overcharged him, because I thought it was a trans person, so I wasn't sure. So I was going to call him a he. So
his girlfriend doesn't. His girlfriend doesn't like the jacket, so they came up with this scheme to overcharge, and that way he could I can't afford it. But he's so enamored of the jacket, and he wants to please her so much. He's like, I'll still get it for you. So it backfired on them, basically. Okay. And so she now has to wear it. She didn't want to wear it. I don't know how any of those characters identify themselves. But you should,
because I'm so used to Emmerdale. Where the trans, the trans man is like, that's a storyline. I
love him. Oh no, but there is a transgender on Hollyoaks. The gay character, McQueen. Oh, what am I drawing a blank on his name?
Scott.
Oh, what? Huh?
It's Scott McQueen, right?
No. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on his name? He's like been on the show for like almost 14 years. He's come and gone. But anyway, the gay McQueen, his father is transgendered, and it's a woman. He's a woman now. And if I'm not mistaken, the actress playing it is transgender. And the principal of the school, I don't know if you remember there was a couple of weeks ago, they had an episode where he was with the principal. The principal is his parent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You'll get to know the McQueens. The McQueens are really, the McQueens. I love the McQueens. I love me some Mercedes and some Goldie and some Silver.
I feel ratchetness. Wait, there's someone named Goldie and Silver?
Goldie McQueen is the one who's with the vicar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And her adopted brother, he's not her biological brother, he's her adopted brother, but because he's adopted, he's still a McQueen. That's the hunky guy, Sylvester. I sent you his picture. He was the one in the underwear. Yes. And he's married to Mercedes McQueen, who kind of is his cousin, but kind of isn't. They're not cousins biologically. They're cousins, like, because he's adopted. But they fell in love, and he's with Mercedes McQueen. So, yeah. And you need to get on Hulu and watch before they take it off. Because today I was watching the last year's summer episode, and Lord, I was like going through it, watching these people running around half naked. I was like, talk about taking advantage of the men on that show. Sylvester, they had this scene where Sylvester was just walking around, because it's summertime, they were having like a big party and stuff. and he's like in these shorts with no shirt on, and I love that all the women characters are just drooling. I'm like, because to me that's real. That's what you would really like. They were just like, and then he's walking around, and then at one point, one of the other characters, he goes to fix her stuff in her apartment, and he's like, "Is there anything else that I could do for you?" And she goes, "Yeah, I think there is something." And then when they come back, he's like totally shirtless, and she's like wiping him down, and she's like, "I don't know how that happened. I mean, I just pressed it, and all of a sudden the water just went everywhere." And he's like, "No, it's okay." And meanwhile, she's just like wiping down his chest, and I was just like, Lord have mercy. He is a breathtaking man. Like, he is just, I gotta tell you, that man, that is like a fantasy. I mean, he is like, I don't even know how tall he is, but what a face, what a body. Woo, Lord have mercy. So yeah, your lesson is tonight. Go on Hulu and start watching Hollyoaks from last year, and you'll get to see all the good stuff.
Yes, I'm gonna do
because
that.
the storyline with Mitchell and his twins, that's coming up. That hasn't happened yet. Mitchell's not even out last year. He's dating a girl.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're catching a lot of Mitchell storylines. So you need to tune in now. Felix hasn't arrived yet. It's at this point, it's just Martine, Lisa, Mitchell, and the grandfather in the opening credits. So I'm telling you, get on Hulu. You'll also see Harry. You'll also, oh my God, Harry and David, their storyline is so intense right now. Oh my God, what David did to Harry last year was unbelievable. The way, see, this storyline sounds campy. This woman who's going around killing people because she thinks they're not good fathers. But the this is where I tell you I like the psychological ramifications of all this. Like, the stuff that's going down is so unbelievable right now. Like, I knew Harry was killed off, and I knew that he was put through so much drama in the years that he was on the show. But the way it all tied up at the end, I was heartbroken. He's with David Nightingale, who's like this really messed up queen who just has like a lot of daddy issues. So Harry is being framed for a hit and run, right? And he's being framed for this hit and run. David's his attorney, even though they're lovers, David's his attorney. And they're trying to find this woman who can, if she would take back her statement, she would prove that Harry was with her at the time and couldn't have been responsible for the hit and run. So Harry's ex, Steve, found out, however you pronounce it, he found out that the woman's in town. So he told Harry about it. And they're talking, and Steve is trying to be there for Harry, and all of a sudden Harry kissed him. But it was like this thing, like the reason he kissed him was, it was just like that momentary lapse. Like, you just, you're going through so much and you're upset, and like you reached out to him. And the minute he did it, he like regretted it. And he told Steve, he goes, that we're not getting back together. I don't want you to even think that. I'm with David now, blah, blah. But he loved David so much that he confessed to David that he kissed Steve. And David, of course, being David, totally fucked him over. He literally drugged him so that he missed his court date. And then they had a powerful scene when he finally woke up the next day and he went back to the house. He tells him, he goes, I don't know what happened to me, da, da, da. And David looks at him and goes, what do you think happened? And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, I drugged you, Harry. And like, their scene was, I was literally on the edge of my sofa watching this intense scene where he just, and that's what I'm saying, the gays never have this on American soap operas. They never have this kind of stuff. This kind of writing and this kind of storytelling where they're the focal point, you know? David's like the bitch. You don't have the gays. The gays are always like saintly. They're always like Luke from Snyder or Will from, you know, they can never be like to the extreme where these characters are. And he just went off on Harry. And the thing that happens is because David did this, in a way, it all leads up to why Harry gets killed. And it's so sad. And so I was blown away by it. So I'm telling you, Les, get on Hulu tonight, because these episodes that I just watched, they're gonna be taken off like in the next couple of days. So you need to like get on there and start watching it. That's what I did. I'm watching 2 a day. So eventually I'm gonna, like, by the end of the week, I'll be ahead of the game as far as like from them expiring. And I'm also doing that with Coronation Street. And it's so funny to be watching what's going on in Coronation Street a year ago to what's going on now.
Where
So
are you
I'm
at
loving
a year
it.
ago? Where are you at a year ago?
Well, Daniel's wife is still alive.
Okay, Sinead.
She's still alive. It was so heart-wrenching to watch their scenes because I know she's gonna die. I don't know how, but I know she's gonna die. What else is going on? The whole story with Gary Windass. That's all happening now.
Okay.
So that was interesting to watch. I'm loving that everybody's like all hating Nick for what he did and everything, and he's trying to like. It's funny how Adam Barlow has a thicker accent. A year ago, he sounds more like Scottish, than he does now. But yeah, it's still riveting. Like Coronation Street is still. It's just I'm seeing characters that I haven't seen in present times. I don't know if they're still on the show, if they're gone. The foreign guy that's with the woman whose husband was a serial killer, is she still on? The blonde?
Oh, Eileen. Yeah, Eileen's on.
Yeah. Because I haven't seen Eileen in the recent stuff, and I haven't seen that guy. I love Maria. Tell me that Maria's still on the show.
Oh, right. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, because she's with Gary Windass.
She's with Gary Windass now? No.
She's with Gary Windass now.
Now on the show?
Yeah.
Because they haven't shown her with him.
Yeah, they just haven't shown her in a while, but no, she's with Gary Windass. Yeah, they live together.
I love her. She's had she had these funny scenes where she's talking about the fact that she hasn't had any luck with any man and they're trying to hook her up and I was living for. She had the worst date from hell where this guy that she met on the dating profile, like they meet up and he's like a mama's boy and the mother actually showed up.
I remember that. Date. I remember that.
I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, this is such funny stuff. And Emma, I guess, just got there, and she's hysterical.
So she doesn't know that Steve's her father yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
And she had the only funny monologue and scene. And I was like, and it's so funny because in the present episodes, they really haven't I haven't seen that in her, but in the present episode, there was an episode last week where she did have a funny moment where I was like, that's what her character is. She's just really funny. Yeah. I mean, the shit that comes out of her mouth is just hysterical.
She's one of these characters. She was not, like, when she first came on the show, I don't think she was supposed to be on it that long, so she wasn't tied to any family on the street. And then I guess when they decided to keep her, Steve dated a black woman like 25 years ago, and so they used that to make her part of the family. Yeah,
I love her though. You meet characters like that. I mean, she's just so funny.
Oh yeah,
and they really write to her strengths. And so I'm enjoying present Hollyoaks. I'm enjoying Hollyoaks from a year ago. So if you guys want to get into it, if you got Hulu, I'm telling you, you will not regret it. Start immediately watching Hollyoaks and Coronation Street from a year ago on Hulu.
And Coronation Street.
I think I might give up all my American soap operas for my British soap operas.
That's funny. But
I'm loving them.
Do you want to talk about Emmerdale first or Coronation Street first?
Well, we're already on Coronation Street. We'll save Emmerdale for last.
So the first thing, and you and I talked about this, and we both agreed, they're handling the coronavirus stuff the right way, the way you should. Just they talk about it like they've done a tiny time jump, but it wasn't any, But what do you think about that?
I felt like they handled it perfectly. They mentioned it. It happened. It existed, but life goes on. It's not the focal point of the show, but they're not ignoring it. It happened, and they're using it to its benefit. It's explaining why, they're not that close to people, or they're not, you know what I mean? And I agree with you. I think they handled it perfectly. It was just the right way to do it. This happened, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the American soap operas would never do that. Maybe if they would have done that on Bold and the Beautiful, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's a little harder for them because the pandemic happened in the middle But Coronation Street pulled it off. I really thought that I appreciated them just mentioning it in passing, you know? And I thought they handled it very, very well. And it just explained why everybody was, you know, keeping their distance, or, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was perfect. I give them kudos. I was so like, gold star for Coronation Street for that. Yeah.
So what did you think about Yasmin this week?
Oh, you know, I'm a big Yasmin fan. Yasmin was giving us Oscar performance last week. She was incredible. She got a visit from a mystery woman who basically told her that she was her. And she convinced her to, I mean, she didn't convince her at first because, you know, Yasmin still got a lot of issues. But the woman was telling her, I know what you're going through. He did it to me. Da, da, da. And then she told her, look this up. She gave her some psychological phrase, and she said, get a book on it. And of course, Yasmin probably wasn't going to do it, but she mentioned it to her girlfriend, Tiny, who's in jail with her. And Tiny being, I call her Tiny because I forgot what her real name. Tiny was Gloria's bitch in jail.
I love her.
I love her too. I love her. I was like, I was gonna write down her name the day that they introduced and they said it, because I said this character is fabulous. And yeah, I love how whenever somebody's in jail, they always have somebody like that with them, looking out for them. And she immediately got Yasmin the book, and she gave it to Yasmin, even though Yasmin was like, I don't remember asking for this. And she said, you didn't ask, but you need to read this, bitch. Yeah. Just like, so Yasmin read it, and it finally got through to Yasmin. So Yasmin called up her husband, and she did not wait. She called him, and he was like, oh, and she let him have it. She basically was just like, it's done. It's over. You're not going to do this shit to me anymore. And his true colors came out. He was like a rabid dog. The change in him just showed what a psycho, what a freak he is. Because this man went from like, oh, but I love you, I need you, blah, 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 you got to come home to me, to like, you fucking bitch, you're going to blah, blah, blah. I was like, whoa, my man, like, ooh, shit. Yeah, it was intense. The Yasmin storyline is freaking incredible.
Right.
Incredible.
And I guess she, like, their version, there's like a awards thing, and I guess she's like, there's talk about like she's probably gonna like slay the awards this year with this storyline.
I believe it. I believe it. I love her. I love that woman. She is so amazing to watch. I mean, you know what it is? She's one of those actresses that's just, it's pitch perfect. It's not too much. It's not too little. It's just perfection. Her choices, it's never forced. It's always so raw and real, and you get caught up in her. My other favorite moment, I was loving Daniel and the happy hooker, because I knew it. He is not sleeping with the hooker. He's basically hiring her so that she's putting on his dead white sweater and spraying on some of her perfume. So he's lying on top of her and talking to her. And I was heartbroken when this was revealed. I was like, oh my God, that's how much he misses his wife, that he is wasting all his money letting this hook, and she wants it, because she was like, we could do it. He's like, no, that's not what it's about.
She likes him. Like, she likes him.
Yeah, she likes him. So I'm hoping this is going to be like a Donna from All My Children storyline, and the happy hooker's going to fall in love with her.
Right.
I'm like, but see, that's why I love Coronation Street. It's these little things that make, like, that reveal. And I thought that might be happening. I thought that it was something like that, but it never dawned on me that it would be to that extreme. And when they showed that, and he's just lying, like when she got there, you thought that they were going to get to business, and instead she's like, same thing. He's like, yeah. And then she puts on the sweater and she sprays the perfume, and I'm like, get the fuck out.
Right.
And it was just such a deep emotional scene, and they have such great chemistry. They really, really do.
Yeah, I hope they keep her. I hope they keep her on the show.
Yeah, I really, really, really like them together, and I like her, and I'm all for that character falling in love again. I love when that happens. Because life goes on. You gotta yes, you love this person and they're no longer with you, but you're young still. He's young,
But now Daniel's nephew, Adam Barlow, on the other hand, he got in trouble last week.
Oh, busted.
Because he's pretending, and it's basically an umbrella storyline, which I guess we should talk about the Gary Windass stuff first, because it's like an umbrella storyline from that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, and I don't know if you're there yet, because basically what happened is Gary Windass owed a bunch of money to this loan shark. And so he got behind, and the loan shark is like, if you don't pay me my money, I'm gonna kill you. And at first he was like, okay, so if you do stuff for me, then I'm not gonna do it. So Gary became his pawn for a while. Long story short, Gary ends up killing the loan shark, and he buries him in the woods. And this happened like about a year ago. So you're coming up on that soon.
No, it already happened.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, where I'm at now, he's already dead. And huh?
So this is like 2 years. This has been going on for 2 years. This whole story.
No, it's a year. It's a year. I think he just killed him, because where I'm watching it now, last year, I'm watching July of 2019, and it seems like he's already covering it up, because they're starting to ask questions like, where is he?
Right.
And he's just like, yeah.
So Gary, out of guilt, the loan shark had an ex-wife and a daughter. The daughter was going to private school. Gary, out of guilt for killing this guy, started paying for the daughter's private school. And then it came out like this year that the mom was actually taking the money and spending the money, and that's how the daughter ended up in the high school. And now, all of a sudden, Gary has fallen behind on his current bills, and so he stopped making the payments. And so now the wife wants to get to the bottom of where her ex is, but on the other hand, Adam, who is Gary's lifelong enemy, suspects something's going on. And so he's like pretending that he's not married and flirting with this woman to get information out of her. And so, but since he's pretending he's not married, which I think it's dumb that he's doing it on the street where everybody knows each other and you can get caught. He got caught by Sarah. He got caught by his wife. And so she was not happy. She was not having it at all.
That was some funny shit, though. I gotta admit, that scene was funny, and that woman was not about to like let him go. She's like, when you get tired of her, give me a call. I was like, whoa. If I was, what's her name, the wife, I would have beat her ass down right there. I was just like, that takes some balls. That takes some balls.
Because when Sarah's yelling at him, the other one didn't flinch. She's like, oh, well, whatever.
She wants that D, man. She wants that D.
I don't blame her. I do not blame her.
He's attractive, but I have to tell you, I've seen pictures of him where he looks. I think he looks hotter without the beard and with the hair, done right. He looks a little cray-cray right now. He doesn't look bad, but with some of the pictures that I've seen of him, he's definitely what I like. I just looked at these guys going on now, and even that look from a year ago, the hair long, I was like, oh no. But I'm gonna get a picture that from the internet that I saw of him, and I'm gonna be like, see, this is the look. He looks, some guys just, I don't know. It all depends on the look, man. Like, have you seen? Well, I love him regardless, but now everybody's fiending on him. Have you seen what DJ what's his name from Jersey Shore looks like now?
No.
Yeah, he's got the facial hair, the beard, and the tan going, like, really deep. Everybody's, like, getting twisted for his new look. I mean,
does the hair still look like it's glued up there?
It does, but it looks different with the beard and everything. Like, first of all, he looked like he one of us. That's the first time I saw it, because it was a black girl who posed, and she's like, he can have it. And she goes, who knew Pauly D was down? I was just like, and I got to tell you, he does. With the new look and everything, he looks down. I'm like, whoa. He got the beard going on and everything. I'm like, oh. He looked mixed, man. He looked like he one of us. I was like, word. But I've always been a fan of his. I think he's hot. I love me some Guidos. Jersey Shore, those boys. But getting back to Courtney, Gary Windass is really hot. He's straight, though, but he's really hot.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, he just got out of, like, a whole scandal in real life. Because one of the tabloids posted that he and the actress that played Carla were kissing at an award show. And then they posted a picture that made it look like they were kissing. And the tabloid just recently had to retract their statement because it came out that they weren't kissing. They were at an angle where they were talking to each other. And so the tabloid totally had to retract their statement. He got into all sorts of issues with, like, fans and his wife and stuff. So he's been through it.
That's horrible, though, because he's married with, like, 3 kids, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so the tabloid, like, he just got exonerated from it. Oh, and the actress is, like, engaged to someone. Carla's, like, engaged to someone, too.
These tabloids in the British are horrible.
Yeah, yeah. So they totally...
Because they're not above making shit up.
Yeah. Because I remember at the time reading it going, oh my God, what a scumbag. Because he's married with kids.
Scandalous. But yeah, I'm
cute.
serious. I think I'm ready to give up my American. I'm loving my 4 British soap operas right now. I wish there was a way for me to watch Emmerdale from a year ago, but unfortunately, not Emmerdale, EastEnders, but BritBox is a piece of... Oh, meanwhile, I reached out to Amazon Prime about my issue. For those of you who don't know, I'm having situations with BritBox. Last Wednesday's episode of Emmerdale was not on there. They have Mondays and Fridays. And then this week, I still have yet to get Monday's Coronation Street. So I hit them up at Amazon Prime because I'm like, I'm paying for this streaming service. Hello.
What did they say?
Just talked to my... Well, I told them, I just talked to my buddy. At first I thought it was like something that can't be helped. I said, but I just talked to, because you have, this is what I was trying to ask you online. You have BritBox through BritBox, right?
Yeah, I have BritBox through BritBox.
See, I subscribe to BritBox through Amazon Prime. So that's probably why you're getting it and I'm not. So it's something to do with the way Amazon Prime is getting it. So I told her, and she's like, oh, you know, because you never get to speak to somebody. It's like you're talking to some imaginary person on the computer. So I was telling her, I said, well, what should I do? Should I cancel it and then get a subscription through BritBox? Because I said the whole purpose of me getting BritBox is so I can watch my shows. And if this is going to be a recurring problem, because she's telling me, like, well, I have to reach out to these people and they have to look into it and I got to put a cert. I said, girl, you're not answering my question. I said, is this going to continue happening? Because I don't want to have to keep making these emails. Like, I don't want to email you every time an episode is not on. It's like, I'm paying for this. I'm not getting this for free. I mean, mind you, it's not like it's $100 a month, but that's not the point. The point is I'm paying you a monthly fee, no matter how low it is, and I'm expecting to get what I'm paying for.
Right.
So I was like not, I was like not having her little attitude. I was like, so I don't know. We're going to leave it like this. She's going to get back to me. She's going to look into it and get back to me. And I'm like, all right, get back to me. But if this continues to happen, I'm just going to, cancel my subscription with them and then go just directly to BritBox, because that's retarded. I want to see my Coronation Street, because I could look it up on Daily Motion, but I hate watching anything on Daily Motion. I really do.
Because that's how I watch
Hollyoaks. It stops and starts. Yeah. No.
Oh,
Yeah.
so remember we were talking about like Coronation Street had to rewrite some of their scenes. I think one of the scenes that they had to rewrite was the Gary, Brian, Bernie scene when they
Yes,
went
that
to
was.
the woods.
We forgot to talk about that. Yes, that scene was one of the scenes that was rewritten. They were supposed to shoot. This is what I was talking about earlier. They were supposed to shoot it on location, like in the woods and stuff. But because they have to stay within the perimeters of, where they're shooting, they have to rewrite everything. And I was wondering why we weren't seeing them, at the thing. I mean, they all still played the hell out of it. You know what I mean? It worked. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to have to rewrite something and do something, put some fucking thought into it. So the writers did. They made it work. We didn't get to see the actual confrontation, but it was still powerful because we still heard about it. Like, they got back before Gary did, and they were talking about what Gary pulled, and then Gary showed up. So it all still worked. But yeah, that had to be rewritten, and some stuff that's coming up had to be I don't know if it had to be rewritten so much as that because of the fact that they can't really touch each other, they had to do some tricky work. There's going to be a car accident. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but somebody's going to almost get hit by a car, and then another character is going to go and save them. And because of the fact that, of how everything has to be, touching, they had to do some tricky camera work. Now, I bet you anything that this is going to look fabulous, and then this is going to be what we're going to compare to what Bold and the Beautiful did. When we see this and we love it, we're going to remember this and then talk about how that differs. So it's all about how you execute it, people. Right. Things can work if you put some thought into it and think about what you're doing and executing it. That scene could have been so much better on Bold and the Beautiful.
Right. Oh, and we forgot to mention Abby as well, because her two little kids are moving to Australia, and she finally moves in with Kevin. Her two little kids are moving to Australia with their adoptive parents, and her son Seb, the older one, went to say goodbye to them, and she went with him, and she feels so guilty about being a bad mother that she can't bring herself to say goodbye to them, which I thought that was a powerful scene, because she's a character who's been totally redeemed. She was not nice when she came on the show. She was not nice at all. And so in a way, it was kind of cool to see how much the character's changed and how much the character's grown. She came on as a hero. She was a heroine at it when she first came on the show. And so, what did you think of those scenes?
Oh, I thought they were beautifully done. I love her storyline. I love the actress. I love everybody that's in her storyline. I love the relationship with her son. Is really, really good when he's working opposite her. Not saying that he's bad otherwise, but I'm just saying, like, it's some meaty stuff for him to play. And we talked about this. I do think that characters, as long as you don't write them into a corner, you can. It is interesting to see a character redeem themselves. We talked about this before. One Night to Live, for instance, Todd, the character Todd, and I think me and Laura May were talking about this. Laura from Canada. Hey, Laura. We were talking about this on Facebook. Is that you got to be careful when you write these characters, because when you write them into a corner, it's really hard to redeem them. Now, Todd is an interesting case, because even though Todd Manning on One Night to Live was vile when he came on, and they decided to keep him because he was so popular, his journey was always that about the fact that he's never going to find redemption for what he did. That was what his storyline was. Unlike other characters where people just tend to forget that these characters did these evil things, Days of Our Lives, Ben, serial killer. It's like Todd was always haunted by what he did. And because of that, he was never able to find happiness, even to the bitter end, which was in Connecticut when they were shooting online. Todd was still miserable. He was never he had two women who loved him. He was never able to let them truly love them. He was never able to move on because he was always haunted by what he did, But yet, a lot of American soap operas just seem to, like, turn a blind eye. You know, Michael Baldwin on Young and the Restless. Everybody seems to forget what Michael did when he first came on the show. His brother Kevin, God knows, on General Hospital, all of them, Sonny, Ava, Jason. I mean, so I do love on the British soaps how at least there still seems to be that moral compass where if characters are really that evil or vile, they're going to pay for what they did one way or another. Right. And then there are characters who, yeah, they may have done some horrible things like a Nikki or an Erica, pretending that, you know, they're ill when they're not, or, you know what, but, you know, you're able to look past that because, you know, you understand where they're coming from. And I think that's the thing, like with Abby, it's like, yeah, she's a character who, like, obviously did some fucked up things, but she's changing her life and she's doing the best she can right now. Right. And you want to root for her. You want to root for these characters. You want to see them, you know, change and get better. You know, I like seeing, but again, it has to all be in the writing. You can't just have a character be a serial killer and then turn him into a hero. I'm sorry. As much as you guys love Ben on Days of Our Lives, that's what doesn't work for me. I can't. Right. I'm sorry. I think it's ridiculous. But we can't finish without talking about Emmerdale.
We're going to the Yorkshire Dales, to Emmerdale. What did you think about this week?
Emmerdale was hot this week. First of all, Emmerdale was hot this week. I was loving Emmerdale because there was a little bit of everything that I liked. There was some comedy, there was some light stuff, there was some heavy stuff. So that's my kind of show. When you can give me some well-rounded, all over the map kind of emotions, I'm laughing one minute, crying the next minute, feeling good one minute, feeling horrible the next. I'm loving it. Right. What's her name? Who has the Hutchinson disease? Finally decided. Well, we don't know.
Lydia.
She has. Lydia. She finally is agreeing to go get tested, and I love her. I love her husband. I love their storyline. I love their performances. They were the first couple that I saw on the lockdown episode, and I was just in love with them. And I think their storyline is just so beautiful, and it's just hitting home right now for personal reasons, with health issues with family members and even myself, and how important it is and how scary it is. But you know what? It's better to know than not know. And these are the kind of storylines that I really love, because I know people look for escapism and stuff, but for me, I'm always going to love these powerful moments like this, where you're really finding that you can relate to these characters, and you know you're not alone, and that you're you know somebody else going through what you're going through. So I love everything about their storyline this week. They're so good together.
Right. And what else happened this week? Oh, one of the minor storylines, which I think is going to become a major one, the cafe. Jimmy and Nicola bought into the cafe. And Nicola is like one of the bitches of the show, so I don't think that's going to go well at all. Because she's already like, now, you know what I like? So the Belle and Jamie scenes, Jamie is still trying to get with Belle, but Belle is like, no, because you're still married. And I like this. I like the part where they go into the pub, like Belle goes into the pub and Jamie and his wife are there, and the wife's being a bitch, and Bob is there like backing Belle up and keeping her company like on purpose. And Bob is like, why don't you just go, because this is hard on you. And Belle's like, this is my family's pub and I'm not doing shit. I'm staying right here. I love that. Because normally she's like a kind of a passive character. And I love that, like, they're evolving her so that she's like, hell no, I'm not going anywhere. This is, we own this pub, not that. So I like that. Now, what do you think about the Jamie stuff?
I actually think that Jamie and Belle are getting stronger. I thought again they were giving they were having stronger performances this week. Jamie got some advice from some businessman, and he took that advice to heart. And the guy was telling him, you need to put a poker face, you need to do this, you need to tell people what they want to hear, to get them to do what you want. So he took that to heart, and the week ended where he, who is in love with Belle, but his wife is like blackmailing him to stay together. He came, and there was like a whole new Jamie. He was all like, yeah, girl, come on, I'll you know what I want you, da-da-da. Like, he was playing her, and she was falling for it. Like, at first she was like, but then she fell for it. So obviously, this guy's advice came to heart. But the thing is, now you got to deliver, mother. Now you got to go upstairs and bang her. Because then when she passed him, the look on his face was like, damn, now I got to do this.
Right.
What was shocking though was Andrea actually had a decent week. I wouldn't say a great week, but
oh my gosh,
compared to some of the stuff that I've seen her do, this was definitely an improvement in her performance. She got some balls, and she had the nerve to take on Big Kim, which I was shocked. I was shocked. And she thinks that she ran Big Kim out of town. I'm like, girl, I don't think you ran somebody like that out of town. You're not that. I think Miss Thing is out of town right now because she's trying to figure out how the fuck she's gonna take you out. I would not. she got too big for her britches. She's like telling, I told her what to do. She ran. I was like, no, bitch. She's regrouping, and she's gonna come back for you, and she's gonna take you out.
Right.
I was just like, but it was really funny to watch the scenes with because Kim was certain that it was the other way around. And when she told Kim, you got the whole thing wrong. Your son is the one who hit her. I was like, oh, and the look on Kim's face. And Kim was reading him too. She's like, I can't believe that you're Frank Tate's son. I was like, damn. Because again, I'm watching classic. I'm watching classic Emmerdale. So I'm seeing Kim and Frank as they are younger, just getting together and all their drama. So it's so great to watch it back to back. It's not great, but it's interesting. It's interesting, and yeah. So I was loving that. But you know who my favorite characters are. I love me some Moira and what's his name?
Kane.
Oh. Anytime that the two of them are on screen, I'm in heaven. I was living for all their scenes this week. She finally came home, and she didn't want him to go. She said, "No, why don't you stay? Why don't you stay?" And he was like, "All right." But unfortunately, she overheard the truth about her business partner and her ex's son, who she slept with, being in business together, and she was not amused. Not amused. I was just like, oh no, poor Moira. I was like, girl, calm down before you have to go back in the hospital. You pop a stitch. Right.
And then I guess so. So now I guess Charity Dingle's storyline's heating up again. So, are you familiar with Charity Dingle?
Uh-huh.
So her storyline right now is her girlfriend, because she's bisexual. So her girlfriend is battling cancer, and so her girlfriend wants Charity to adopt her son, but now the girlfriend's ex-boyfriend who got her pregnant is on the run, so they're trying to find him. And so Priya, who actually is the guy who was giving Jamie's advice, sister, she's looking for the guy. She's looking for Karen. And so they made a deal, which made me happy because Al's car broke down, but it broke down in the town that Debbie Dingle lives in. And so they started mentioning Debbie Dingle, which means Debbie Dingle is coming back soon. I live for Debbie Dingle. She's the best. But the actress got pregnant and had a baby. And so in British soaps, when you have a baby, the women take like a year, sometimes a year and a half off. So that's what she's doing. So the fact that they mentioned her name, because that's how with soaps, when they start mentioning the person's name, that means they're coming back. And so, like, out of the blue, they mentioned Debbie. So looking forward to that. And what else? What else happened?
Moira's son got a job.
Oh, yeah. Working for Kim.
I like him.
Working for Kim.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But I like him. I really like him. I like that whole storyline with him trying to get the job. And then, you know, those scenes where he was doing the job interview and he kind of fucked it up, but then he came back and, like, won it over. Like, I just thought all of that was really good. Yeah, it was Emmerdale. I love him. I love all my 4 British soap operas. I really do. I'm like really addicted now. I got to tell you, people, I'm so addictive, and the American soap operas pale in comparison. That's what I'm telling you. I'm like I'm literally, that's how obsessed I am that I'm watching episodes of Coronation Street and Hollyoaks from a year ago, and I'm watching 2 episodes a day. So it's like an hour's worth of, you know, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Well, we did it. We got through all of them. So I guess General Hospital is coming back on Monday. So
next Monday.
So we'll see if they, you know, use this time wisely. I doubt it, but you know, people can surprise you sometimes.
No. Not Frank Valenti and the people at General Hospital.
You know.
Nope.
So if you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on Facebook at Soap Opera Love in the Afternoon. And I've been really kind of focusing on our social media and getting that going. So, hey, like our Facebook page, leave some comments. And also, we are a new podcast, so reviews really help us. So if you like what you're hearing, give us a 5-star review. We appreciate it. And, you know, we're still new, but we've got some surprises that we're working on for you. And I am loving doing this, Jordan. I really am.
I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you turned me on to the British soap operas. I'm so grateful for you for that. Thank you.
Then my husband is like, so you guys going to talk about Australian ones too? And I'm like, shut up. I don't need any more. So.
Well, Hulu doesn't carry Neighbors anymore. Hulu used to carry Neighbors.
Really?
They don't carry Neighbors anymore. Yeah. That sucks because I love Neighbors. I love me some Neighbors.
It's like I can only watch 8. We're watching 8. Well, actually, we're, you know, because some of them are in reruns, we don't have to be as stringent. But when you realize when this is all over, we're gonna have 8 soap operas to talk about.
Unless you guys write in and tell us, we really don't want you to watch this one.
Well, I guess that's it. So, Jordan, I will talk to you next week.
All right. Y'all have a nice week, lads. Be careful out there.
You too.
Bye, everybody. Be safe. Smooches.
Bye.